At the very epicenter of Europe, you'll find world-class museums, modern architecture, and an almost bewildering array of bars and nightclubs. Germany's vibrant capital is 8 times bigger than Paris, with 3.5 million inhabitants. Today, Encore is in Berlin. It was one of the grimmest symbols of the Cold War, and it provided artists, musicians and filmmakers with unique and sinister inspiration. Built in 1961, the Berlin Wall divided the city for 28 years. While the communists tightened their grip on East Berlin, the West became a walled-in outpost of freedom and democracy. When the wall came down in 1989, it was a sunny day for humanity. But 25 years later, where do artists go to find inspiration that compares with the 1970s West Berlin, visited by Lou Reed, David Bowie and French-born artist Terry Noir?
Well, I became an artist in Berlin because everybody was an artist. So somebody asked me, "Are you an artist?" And I said, yes. I was like a neighbor of the world. And to live like that was not funny at all. It was very melancholic. Nothing happened really the whole day. And after 2 years of this life, I want to do something against the wall, and I just wanted to paint it.
Noir was the first to daub the wall. He spent almost every day defiantly painting the western side. He comically transformed the ugly symbol of the Cold War with a carnival of colours. Heads that represented the bright lights and artistic freedoms of the West. When the wall fell, he started painting on the eastern side, most famously here at the East Side Gallery.
To paint the wall was a kind of taboo at that time, so I had to explain, no, I'm not a spy from France. Nobody pays me. I paint because I'm just here. I live in front of the Berlin Wall, so I'm a neighbor, and I don't want to paint the wall beautiful because it's not possible. The wall is a death machine.
So what side are you on?
I am in East Berlin, you are in West Berlin.
And now I can easily cross from west to east, and we can cross back like again.
This is the Berlin Wall in 2014, 25 years later. You can't see the wall anymore, but it's still there as a memorial for the young generation. Because if you forget your past, it may come back to you and even stronger. And this is a small message to say to them, do not repeat the mistakes of your parents.
We were in a small cafe. You could hear the guitar.
How old were you when you came to Berlin?
I was 23. So I come to Berlin in January 1982.
Why? Why did you pick here?
Because West Berlin was kind of meeting point in Europe for people like David Bowie, Iggy Pop, Nina Hagen, all the new wave movement. They all were in West Berlin. That's why I came just to see why it's so nice. Like in the song of Lou Reed, he said that Berlin by the wall, Dubonnet nice, it was so nice.
By Berlin, by the wall, you were 5'10" tall. It was very nice.
And was it so nice when you got here?
Not really, it was really like depressive, cold. This was the opposite of that song, I mean that.
And the wall and West and East Berlin, the divisions, that was a very unique inspiration for artists back then. What inspires them now?
The space. Berlin is a big city, it's a large city with only 3.5 million people. I think that's why a lot of young artists come to Berlin still now, 25 years after the fall of the wall.
For the past 30 years, the Encore was the project that came to symbolise more than anything else the rather grey face of the East German state. And today the poor Trabi has the reputation of being one of the worst cars in the world. But good enough to take us 25 kilometres southwest of Berlin, to a place that was once the location for a few of the Cold War's most spectacular spy swaps. The Glienicke Bridge is also an iconic film setting, made famous in Funeral in Berlin, which starred Michael Caine. Known as the Bridge of Spies, it once straddled the border on the divided city's outskirts. The perfect place to meet our next contact.
Well, the funny thing is it was the secret services that picked the location to exchange their spies on this bridge, you know, Americans and Soviet, as well as East and West Germans, whatever. So the spy had to walk from one direction and the welcome committee from the other, or the other way around. They met here in the middle, and that was it, and not a word was spoken. To exchange spies, you choose a bridge is such a cinematic idea. I don't know where it came from, maybe the locus Dei locus Deus Loci, because the film studios from Babblesburg are just half a mile away from here.
Oscar winner Volker Schlondorf is one of the leading figures in German cinema. His most famous film is The Tin Drum, for which he won an Academy Award and the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival in 1979. Studios here have seen some real ups and downs throughout the years, haven't they?
Well, it's more than 100 years. It started out with the silent movies under a glass roof. Then came the glorious 20s with Lubitsch and Murnau and Fritz Lang. Actually, the Metropolis was shot there, as well as the Blue Angel.
Never wanted to. What am I to do?
And then came 33, the Nazi period for 12 years, and all the talent emigrated to Hollywood. And then the GDR took over with a socialist Soviet-style filmmaking. The architecture tells actually all these periods. This is pure Albert Speer, whereas behind you is pure GDR, Honecker or whatever. And the films reflected, of course, propaganda of one kind, propaganda of another kind, brief period of freedom, and now mostly American films.
And this costume was from your last film, Diplomacy, and the costume was made here at the studios. Tell the people at home what other films were made at these studios.
Oh my God, of course, it's hundreds, but like you may know, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, Inglourious Bastards, most recently Monument Man and Grand Hotel Budapest, so my favorite. I did a few myself. And the costume department is one of the things that was left over from the GDR times because it was an economy of penury. So they collected everything. And costumes tell a lot about the story of a country. So we have thousands and we have all periods here. And we could probably rebuild, as it was done in Goodbye Lenin, all of the GDR. Here again, you got the Hitler Youth. Of course, World War II pictures, you see, is the #1 export of German filmmaking.
This is the recreation of a 1970s East Berlin flat. Is the wall and the war and all that period, is that still really the focus of cinema for German filmmakers, or have you moved on, or are you moving on?
I hope we left all this in the past, but of course with the success of Goodbye Lenin, of The Life of Others, people are still wondering what was it that kept people living under that strange government. I know they were locked in, but until '61 they had time to leave. And how come it could not have been successful, as in Poland or so, to create a real resistance. So that is the reason why this prison-like places, I mean, I can only think of a cell if I look at an apartment like that, are recreated in order to try to penetrate into the minds of the Germans who lived under those circumstances and who have such a hard time to adapt to the freedom now.
With its reputation as a party town, free it is. At night in Berlin, anything goes. Bars, clubs and alternative hangouts. Places that exist only here, like Urban Spree. So what exactly is this place, Urban Spree?
Urban Spree is, for me, it's a kind of alternative cultural center. So we have a gallery first, and the club, concert room, a small crazy club downstairs, artist studio, workshop area, etc., etc. So it's many things actually.
Well, the party's clearly already started here at Urban Spree. First, I'm going to go and check out the artist studios upstairs. Hello.
Hello.
This seems quite a strange place to be working. They're raving downstairs. What are you doing?
I am preparing a piece that I'm going to hopefully finish tonight.
And how did you end up here in Urban Spree in Berlin?
I was staying for a week, and this week turned into 3 months, then 3 years, and then 10.
And so what's good about it for artists?
That it's cheap, that it's ugly, that it's dirty, that it's full of empty spaces, that it's wild, that it's unfinished. It's happening.
Artists in Berlin might not have the same sinister inspiration they once had. 25 years on since the fall of the wall, they've moved on. But the new ideas certainly are not lacking.
Berlin.